I'm going to try to do some summary of what I heard here. I take notes as we go through, and I try to end the program by trying to summarize some of the highlights that I heard as we went through. When we were talking progress, a couple things jumped out at me is a number of folks talking about industry coordination, that it's going to take industry government coordination to move these things. I like the fact we talked about big data and cloud sort of being almost seen together. You need to almost view and manage or think about them together to really address some of the issues that we're trying to do here. On progress, what really jumped out at me again was the idea that we're looking at programs that actually improve health and deal with saving lives and prolonging life and so forth. And that was when we specific programs. I like that autopilot. I thought that was a really cool story in terms of. I like the thing we're talking about identifying good officers. I thought that was a real unique thing we're talking about. We talked in the programs about making data available to more people and to open sources. We talked about health of astronauts. Talked about that CMS program that was integrated $3.3 billion in fraud reduction, which I think that is a true success story in terms of a specific program. Lessons learned, I heard we need to focus on governance, that this stuff just doesn't happen. You need to take some time to make sure you put the pieces in place, and then once you move into the programs, find out what are those right tool sets and be able to apply the correct tool sets to the correct problems. Renee brought up the fact that it's a different way to think, and I like that in terms of turning that prism, and it gives you that idea that it reshapes things, that big data is forcing us to do that, think different, and thinking different just leads to creativity and innovation. And we heard, I think, from Alan about agility and speed, and need to do things quickly, and traditional ways that the government develops systems are not going to work with big data. In terms of challenges, scale came up right out of the box, and I guess it's an obvious one, huh? The big data, well, lots coming in, well, scaling that is going to be an issue. How are we going to do that? On challenges too, we heard about you really need to know what you have. In a lot of places, we don't understand or even know exactly what we have. So knowing what you have puts you in a position to be able to find programs to deal with that. As always, culture popped in there. There's people have ways of doing things, and you could change a person's title overnight, or you can tell them they have a different job overnight, but having them behave differently takes time, takes generations sometimes, and takes turnover sometimes, and moving around. We heard a little bit in challenges of integration. I think Stephen brought it up, integration with security, that you need to understand that when we integrate a lot of these tools, there could be potential security issues, because now you have all these systems coming together, and the weakest link in there becomes your major issue that you have to look at. And we heard about training, training being an important part. You don't want to put all these programs in place, and you want to make sure they're used correctly, and the people are trained to do that. In the future vision, we had some good stuff. We heard about services models. We heard about autonomous decision making, which I thought was a very interesting concept there, and how that can be done. We heard about data on demand, and in the future, that's what it's going to be like. We heard about focusing on lives, and what I heard, or that it makes me exciting, is now that I have 4 kids, 6 grandkids, and another on the way, we're talking about programs that are going to benefit all of us down the road.